The longer you play the same game, the more you lose. You got to change the stakes. On this episode of the podcast, we have Ross Greenfield. Coach Ross is a doctor of physical therapy, a fellow Good Drills coach, and partner of the legendary Bobby White, and a social media savant. And on today's episode of the podcast, we talk about how to up your social media game, why and how this matters when it comes to coaching in person, and why you need to leave the linear game for the exponential one. This was an amazing podcast, was an even better dude, and we kind of just kicked it off right away. Like as soon as we picked it up, we were just kind of ranting about social media and just pressed record and went from there. We didn't really have many questions laid out. I thought we were going to go more basketball, and towards the end we tied all in, and I just thought this was an awesome podcast of blending in the reality of our business side into the coaching, into the athletic world, and how you can take all of these qualities that apply to one aspect and succeeding in one aspect and taking it to the basketball aspect and all the way to the other. And I just thought it was super cool. Of one of the things he was talking about on the podcast, and we'll get there, was how everybody stays in the same box, and it's like these linear processes and linear techniques to get better at social media. And you can say the linear processes and techniques to get better at basketball, where you need to put your elbow here to get there. And what he was talking about is you need to find organically your way of doing social media. You need to find organically your way of putting your elbow there and shooting. And when it all comes together like that, that's when you really know you have something artistic going on, something beautiful, something that is going to have that exponential gain, and leaving the stratosphere of where you currently are, leaving the game of where you currently are. So hopefully you guys enjoy this podcast. I appreciate you guys supporting the podcast. We will be back on a more regular schedule. We were on a drought for 2 weeks as I was getting the YouTube stuff figured out, but we got a couple guests lined up and should be awesome. Thank you guys for listening. Boom.
Before we hit the intro music, I wanted to introduce to you guys the Yoakum Strength Insider. The Yoakum Strength Insider is our online training platform that takes all of the ideas that we talk about on this podcast and implements them into a program that is available to you at the touch of your fingers. Our goal with the Yoakum Strength Insider is to create better movers, to level up your life, and to move forward from where you are. We do this in a holistic fashion. Not only will you receive a program that has helped hundreds of people become better movers, you'll also receive access to our app that allows you to track everything, has video links for all exercises, and allows you to be in constant communication with a Yoakum Strength coach. Along with this, you'll get our 30-page PDF nutrition and lifestyle guidelines. That includes everything from what to eat, how much of it to eat, why we're eating it, meditation habits, and other lifestyle habits that we implement with our clients to really level up their lives. If you're interested in trying out one of these programs, use podcast 25 in the discount section right before you pay for 25% off your first program. Boom.
This is the Yoakum Strength Podcast. Take the leap down the rabbit hole with us as we interview elite level guests to unravel what high performance really is.
Boom. All right, Coach, welcome to the podcast. I'm excited to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we've been ripping for 20 minutes already about social media and the beauties of it. And that is one of the things, and we'll cover a ton of things here, but one of the things that you and Bobby absolutely fucking crush is the social media side of the game. And you and I were just talking about how there needs to be a level of, like, I believe coaches that are against short form content, coaches that are against quick hitting content or memes or whatever it is such an insecurity on their part because they don't trust their long form content. They don't trust their actual product, or they don't have one. And what I have found, and this is couple years removed from being where your guys' level is at, but even within the last year and a half, 2 years, it's like I have so many data points now to where I can put out a meme and have enough faith in my long form content, this podcast, to know I am doing good. I'm putting out good content. I'm working with good athletes and getting results with these athletes and these people online, to where I can put out a fucking meme and mess around and play the game of social media a bit. And you'll have these coaches like, oh, you're just doing it for likes. It's like, bro, you're on social media with us. So welcome to the podcast, and I really appreciate your social media approach and your freedom to it.
Thanks, dude. I'm glad to be here. Glad to get rolling. Something about that too is the whole creative aspect of social media is something that people don't really look at. So it's like, for me, something that's been huge, and you're kind of alluding to this, is like I'm aiming to put out 6 pieces of content every single day on Instagram, TikTok, like short form. And in my brain, it seems like, oh, I want to do that because I'm trying to hit a number, but it's also a good like freedom thing. Like if I'm putting out 6 pieces of content, that means I'm pushing myself to just let it go, let it go, let it create, let it go, create, let it go. And then as I do that, I get feedback, and sometimes I do something stupid like just write words on a white background, and then it just goes. And you don't know what's going to resonate, but with other people. But if I'm constantly doing things and I'm in a place where I'm super connected with what I'm putting out and they feel good for me, that's all I care about. And then sometimes it's not my doing, but sometimes it resonates with other people. And I sometimes I'll think, why is this resonating? Why is this hitting? Is it the style of the content? Is it the messaging? What is that? If I think I have that, then I go to a place of results for other people. Then I go to a place of, we have a team, we have Gabe, we have other people. How can we systemize this, businessify this, commercialize this to make it more efficient? But I'm not thinking about like the 6 pieces of content. It's not about efficiency. It's about my own creative process, my own process of connecting with what I'm saying. And it pushes me to, I got to go look at some NBA highlights sometimes, because I'm not just going to put out anything. I want to, what am I saying? I got to go to games. I got to draw from how I'm training people. And it really pushes me to connect with all these different things. So it's an interesting aspect of like, this is short form content. This should be like, you're just letting this rip. And you make a product like, that's a little different, but short form, you just, in my opinion, we just let this rip and really feel for what is resonating with yourself and other people.
Well, and it's such a reps game too. And in a field where like all we do is preach fucking mental toughness and like you just gotta work harder and grind. You get to the social media game with some of these coaches, like, well, you have 10 reps total in social media. Like Ross is getting 15 reps a day on social media. Of course he's better at the game than you. And that's one of the things I've realized in a couple things. It's like, how do you get rid of like anxiety around social media? Reps, man. Like have a bunch of posts that miss and you're gonna stop caring, and have a bunch of posts that hit and you're gonna stop caring, and finding that middle ground. How do you get that creative aspect? And that's something that within this past year I've really enjoyed, is like, I feel like a lot of coaches get stuck in a content like trap of like, I have a way that works, but then it never like they never branch out from that. And so what I try, especially with consulting with a lot of coaches trying to get their social media going, it's like you can have a way that works and that you're comfortable with. And again, you don't want to throw that out to the wind, but you need to be constantly experimenting, not only just to experiment, but to keep your interest levels in there. And you're going to find things that work much better and that you can apply to kind of your methods that currently work. And I feel like a lot of coaches get trapped in I think it comes back to the reps game. It's like they just don't have enough reps. So every time they put out a post, it's like 15% of their post for that year. So it does feel like there's a lot of weight there. Whereas if you're posting every day, you're posting 15 times a day, that anxiety around it goes way down.
Yeah, and I think it's the reps of trying to formulate what is interesting to you. And that is the reps, because some people, they don't even do short form. They'll just do long form, where it's one idea and they're really staying connected with that one idea for a very long time. And then they put out a good long form. But I think what people don't do is they don't realize, all right, these are all the things that I'm connecting with, and I'm making it for me. If I made content and it wasn't for me, it wouldn't be my voice. It wouldn't be it wouldn't be that. There was no way you can put out that much. That's the thing. It's almost like a task. The task is driving the behavior. The task of putting out 6 pieces of content, now that drives the behavior, because I wouldn't be able to put out or have the intention of putting out that much content for this amount of time continuously if there wasn't some type of dopamine cycle happening in the daily process of doing it. So it's like, what does that mean? Now every day I'm on the treadmill for 30 minutes, and I'm figuring out what am I going to be posting, boom, 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 like what are the ideas that I'm drawing from, boom, and then I connect with each one. And it's a process of that creative part and then completing it, throwing it out, completing it, throwing it out. So many times, going back to what you say, I see so many people that are good on, they have a following, they post the same shit every day, they post the same shit every single day, which is like, okay, that's fine, but that's the commerce side of it. And if you want to break through, which is something that I've done so many times, where it's like you 10x whatever metric you're looking at, you can 10x. The breakthroughs only happen when you're going into an unknown place and you do something that nobody's thinking about, because it's not about them, it's about what you are doing. And a lot of people, they think about, oh, they like this, I'm going to keep posting it, they like, and it's going to do well. And that's what we do, we set up systems around that shit that works, which is important, because that's business. You figure out what is good for other people and you make it really efficient and you make it valuable for them. But then the breakthrough, if you want to break through, it's I post good drills, follow me. Holy shit, we figured that out. Now it's not like, oh, we broke through one time and we're not going to do it again. No, now we businessify it, because if we only did it once, sure, the first time was the best time, but now we do it 1,000 more times and we're still reaping benefits from it, but then it slowly dies down. So it's like constantly trying to find what's the next breakthrough. Because it's like we're ready. So it's like the momentum's here. To maintain the momentum, you got to continue the work. You got to make it efficient. You got to keep doing the things that work. But if you want to increase that acceleration of growth, or have a spike in breakthrough, which takes something different that a lot of people don't do. A lot of people are afraid to do.
Yeah,
So
and
what
I talk about on the consults. I say something very. It's just talking about it's like social media is like your lottery ticket, and you need to grab it like every single day. Like just grab your lottery ticket every single day and play with it, because I think a lot of people, and it's nice, especially when you're starting off on social media. It's nice when you're getting the 10 followers a week and you're seeing that linear progress. But really, like what you were talking about, it's not that linear progress. It's grabbing the lottery ticket for when that linear effort leads to that exponential growth. So you're posting every single day and you're making the progress. That's all great. It's dandy. But what you're going for is the good drills. Fuck yeah, this is our new baseline. And now everything else is raised from there. And you just completely 10x your baseline. And that's something that I talk to a lot of clients with and a lot of coaches with about that is it's that lottery ticket that you're going for. But again, like I really like the way that you phrase that. If you're not playing around with things, you're always just going to stick at that baseline. And well, that's great. Again, that's the commerce side. That's your business side. You're not going to totally just get rid of that altogether. Your goal, and this is the beautiful thing of social media, is we all get a free chance at the lottery. Like it's just free. We get to go. I mean, you put time and effort into your post, whatever, but it's a free chance at the lottery to make. You can make generational money on social media by just posting. It's crazy.
And not only that too, you get that, and then you get like, all right, the process to create a post, something that you are genuinely connecting with. I'm taking this shit all the time, and then it goes back into how I communicate in other areas, how I am on the court with players, how I evaluate the game. And it makes me such a more deeper, like I have a deeper understanding of what are my values, what am I trying to do with the person in front of me. Because to get a post to go, the only way to get that breakthrough is to be 100% crystal clear. What does this mean for me? And if you don't get there, and that's something that's a great coach. It's like, what does this mean? What is my value to the person in front of me? Right. And your value to the person in front of you is that you understand yourself first. and you get there with social media. And it's great, because it's like there's also that objectivity of like, all right, you do that, and if you do it well, good things will happen at some point. And you just keep doing it, and that's it.
Well,
It is
you
a
just
lot.
answered. I wrote down, do you think social media makes you a better coach? Because that's one of the things you hear a lot. It's like, oh, he's just a social media coach. It's like if you're doing social media right, it 10x's your ability to coach. It 10x's. Like I have become such a better communicator of my thoughts. So, and not even communicator of my current thoughts, but communicator of or creation of new ideas and new philosophies and new like ways to frame what I'm saying because of social media. And it's such a if you do it right, it can be such an interconnected piece of being a person. It's like my real life content gets put onto social media. And now I got to frame, okay, I had an idea because I was talking to an athlete and I want to reframe that idea. So when I have that conversation again, I can have it better, so you reframe it for social media, then you can bring it back to real life. And I really believe it can expedite your growth as a coach so fast. And that's where I think a lot of older coaches struggle with a lot of younger coaches coming up so fast. It's like, well, of course they do. Like they can 10x their ability to coach. And I still think you need to be in person and working and doing those things. Like you can't, I don't know if you can always be on social media, because I think real life driving your content for social media is a beautiful piece to it, and having that interconnectedness to it. But I think that's why a lot of coaches struggle with the growth that these younger coaches are having. But it makes sense. It's like they have a tool you didn't have growing up. You were fucking reading books and studies. It's like you didn't have that bounce back piece where social media can give you so much feedback to, oh, I actually reframed my idea and there's something there. And now I can bring that to real life. And when I have that conversation again, it'll be better. Or a different philosophy there, or this is what I saw in my philosophy and I'm working on that and just crafting it. But I think if you don't have a tool, and you don't, again, that's why I think a posting schedule is so important for a lot of coaches too, because and I think social media is nice because you just treat it like a journal. Like I think if you were journaling about your training and everything like that, you could do the same thing without social media. You're just not getting the presence of social media. But I don't think coaches are going to do that without the like dopamine hit, like you said. Like there's no dopamine cycle with the journaling. But I think it's like a dopamine induced journal that allows you to, okay, this was my session. These are my thoughts in my session. I'm going to journal and distill them into a product, into a post, into something there. And that's going to increase my ability to work on that philosophy and thought process.
Yeah. I it's like the whole thing too. It's like the all right, you social media, you get them into your thing online. There's there's not a lot of difference between that and you have a kid that comes in the gym. There's not a lot of difference. What are you trying to do? Well, you're trying to build trust with that person, and a lot of that's a little bit of a different part of it, but it's like a kid, there's somebody new that's coming to me. It's like, all right, yes, there's all these things that I believe are to be true, but how are you meeting the person where they're at? So it's like you're on social media. How do I meet that person where they're at? There's a lot of times for me in the past when I was just starting and I had like 5 different TikTok, I was trying things. I would expel my information that I knew. It's like I'm so smart. Went to PT school. I know all this information. It's like that didn't go. But if you just simplify things and meet people where they're at and give them permission to take action, what is the actual person on the other side of this? Who are they? How are you relating back to them? Because then there's somebody that comes in the gym, same thing. It's not about relaying all that information. Who are they when they're coming in? Why are they coming in? Right? This kid's coming in. If they were an elite player, they're not coming in because they need confidence. They're coming in for the ambiance. But for these most people, they're coming in, they don't know what to do. They're looking for an answer. Okay, fine. You're looking for an answer. I'll give you an answer. Go do this thing. They do it. They get an outcome. They trust you for that outcome. They're motivated to go again, and they repeat that cycle. And getting them through that cycle. And I have it written down somewhere where it's literally they ask you for something. You have their attention. You got their attention. Now you tell them to do something quickly. They go do it. They get an outcome. They're motivated. They trust you. They trust you, you're motivated, they get a result, and they just keep cycling back through. I think that whole process is no different in person than it is on social media. Understanding where is this person at and how are you going to communicate them because of where they're at. The way I communicate to our level 1 guys, which are 8th, 9th graders that are not that good, is very different to how I communicate with people that I've known for a year plus that are varsity college players. It's just a different relationship. Where are they? Who are they? Do they respect you? Do they know you? Are they going to listen to what you're saying? All those things.
Well, and one of the things you touched on there, it's like if you just get the person results, like they're going to buy your product. Like one of the things I'm seeing a lot is like all these micro hacks to like how do you sell, and like none of that matters if you're not getting results. If you're not building trust with, and you build trust through data points of results, like you don't build trust in these bullshit ways. It's just like you tell them to go do something and you have enough faith in your program that telling them to go do that thing is going to make their knees feel better. They're going to jump higher. They're going to shoot better, whatever it is. Like there's a big piece to it. You solve a person's problem, they're going to want to pay you money because they trust you. And I think we start there. You start with your program, you start with the results, and then everything else will back end. And then if you want to work on your sales page or you want to work on your funnel page, go and do it. But right away, like you actually have to be getting these people results. And that's again why I think you are able to put out short form content, is because your stuff gets results. You have enough confidence in what you do that you know it's going to get results. It's not snake oil. It's I'm going to go do this. I've told 100 kids to do this, and they all jump higher because I know like it's not bullshit.
And I'll tell you this though, just to be transparent, it's like we're adding all these new things that I know are going to make it so much better. It's putting some hesitancy in me to put out once a day, like a hard sell, go freaking buy our thing. It's the same exact program that it was. I have the same belief in it, but I know, wow, this is a whole new freaking level that this is about to get. So it's a little like, all right, I'm gonna take some uh gas off of this really quick. We're gonna take some gas off this. And it's like, yes, it's part of it is strategy, but also it's like I know how much better this is going to be, even though it's already been great. We've already got results, people that do the thing, but this aspect of it is just completely morphs it in different ways that nobody else has actually ever done with an online thing like this. Really thinking about getting them to take action because it's like we know we have the best thing. You actually go do our thing, you're going to get results. But then that's not the problem anymore. The problem is how can we still take full accountability if you're not doing it? You buy it, you don't do it. So that's where our brain is now. So it's like, all right, we know we have the best thing. It's not enough. It's not enough. It's like we have the best thing and we are going to put you in a position where you take action on that thing. And it's been very interesting and we're going to see how this plays out. But it's all very interesting. It's very interesting how people think, how people's brains work, you know?
Yeah, what
Um,
I'm interested. When did you get the confidence that you have in your program? You know, like when did you get the confidence to be able to post on social media without the anxiety? Like I bet there was a part where like when you started doing social media where you had that hesitancy, like a lot of coaches do. Like when did that shift for you? What was that shift for you? When did you get to the point where you are at now, where you are at these like level 2, level 3, level 4 thinking processes? Like how did you break through to level 1? Because that's where I feel like a lot of coaches listening are at.
So when I started my account that I currently have, um, I honestly I think the way my brain works, first of all, is like I don't consider other people's like thing. I don't consider other people. Like when I first started on social media was like whatever like tried like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I was in PT school and I was like I was looking for an answer out of PT because I hated it. So it's like anything else didn't matter. If someone else had it didn't matter. I'm like I'm looking for an so my brain is in seeking mode. I'm in like an unknown place. I'm seeking something different. So it's like the that would be so much higher if there was any fear present of what other people thought. Like it didn't matter really because that's such a higher level of like I didn't want to be there. I would my last clinical rotation, my fourth clinical rotation in 2021, early 2021, I literally wanted to throw up, scream, and run out of our outpatient clinic every single day because I did it was it epitomized like a trap. It epitomized a dungeon. That's what it did. And I really held on to like, oh, PT is this in my subconscious, like PT is like a bad thing, PT bad. But it's not that PT's bad. It's that I associated PT with conforming and doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I went to PT school. I'm supposed to do this. But so it epitomized a trap. So I was like, you know what? Anything to not do that. So I'm just gonna go all out, try shit. It doesn't matter that that like I'm in freaking find something mode. So once something clicked, I just got the dopamine hit. I broke my ankle and I was on a couch for whatever for a few weeks and I was just duetting on TikTok. 8 duets a day, just duetting people's thing. That's it. And then it worked and it was just like, oh, let me see how much I can grow. And that's about it. I really never had a struggle, a super hard struggle of I don't want to post this or I have a posting block. The only struggles that I really have when it comes to posting and social media is if I get like a creative block, like I want to post things that I feel good about. And it's like when I catch that fire, I'm on fucking fire. I get on fire and I like it's crazy. But
The best feeling in the
I
world.
yeah, and I want to always be there. And it's like I'm learning over time that there's ebbs and flows to it. And there's times for commerce. In those times where you don't have it, it's time for commerce. It's time to, all right, Gabe, let's put together let's get all these reposts together, let's get all these things together, because you have a fulfillment, you have a duty, there's a business, there's results that need to happen, there's that section of it that's connected. So I'm not on fire. And that's a little bit how I am right now. It's like I'm in that stage, but I've been through these cycles so many times that like I know this unknown place right after it, it's a place of, because it's like I just recently, the last time I had this thing, the last time I had this something like this happen, I literally spent, you know what a concept map is?
Hmm.
It's like you make a node, it's like a software where you make a node and then you could draw an arrow to another node and you could connect arrows together. You could write notes in each node. I spent like 6 to 8 hours straight just making a concept map of everything I believe in, everything that's the last time this happened, where it's just like you're in an unknown place. And then when you're truly in that unknown place and you're not like completely freaking out and you don't believe anything, it's like, all right, you're fine. You're trying to seek answers. So it's like deep. Okay, why am I actually doing what I'm doing? Who am I? How do I serve people? Does this matter? Does it matter that I give somebody the answer that they need? Were they going to find that answer regardless? And connecting all these different things with from broad perceptual ideas to very tactile information. And there's ebbs and flows. There's every single day there's ebbs and flows. And my mornings are very, I want to go to the gym right when I wake up. That's just how I work. I go to the gym right when I wake up. I get like 6 to 8 sets. That's it, of hard, like 4 reps of something hard, something that's like challenging me, that it's like a duty. I have to go do that. Then it's calm. Then it's I walk on the treadmill. It's idea mode. It's connecting mode. I'm trying to find things that I can connect with. Then I go back. And so the day, it ebbs and flows between finding ideas, experimenting with those ideas, taking those experimentations and maybe can I do something with it, and share, like constantly back and forth. But then you have these macro things where like right now you go through these cycles. That's something that I've noticed. So right now I'm in that, like, all right, you're in this unknown place. And it used to be like, I feel like some people would call it a crisis, but now I'm in this place that this has happened so many times now, where it's like it's not a crisis because this is a part of the process, and something good is going to happen after this, because this is you. I set an intention. Every time I set a new intention for something, I think what happens is I set that intention, and the only way to get there, if it's a true intention, if it's something that you're genuinely connecting with, your brain has to be like, oh shit, okay, so we've never done this before. We have no evidence that we could do this. We have to throw everything away and let's go find a new answer. And which is scary. It's a scary thing. It's not like a fun thing, but it's like I've been through it. So it's like it's okay. It's okay. We're gonna find different answers and we're gonna figure out how this. So it's like I created this whole thing in 6 to 8 hours, and all I've been doing over the last 3 4 months, every time something comes in my brain, as for like conversations or something that I see, I'm relating it back to that concept map and I'm filling it in. I'm seeing it where it fits. I'm seeing if I need to add more arrow. It's ridiculous. Like I could show you it. It's like, it's freaking ridiculous, this map. It's everything from business to my ideologies to planning strategies. Now it's like I'm in a place where realizing that the concreting what you know is like, okay, it could be a useful tool, but it's not real because things are changing every day. Who you are changes every day. What you think changes every day. It's just all different every day. It's almost like when you write something in your note section of your phone, or you write something on a paper and it's like feels so like, yes, this is it. Then you go back to it the next day, it doesn't mean shit. And that's how you feel. So it's like, I think about how this relates to athletes too. Athletes, they do this. There's information that comes in, but if that information doesn't mean anything to you, then it doesn't serve you. It has to mean something. There has to be a connection with what you're doing. There has to be like an aha. And I feel like the best players, they live in that moment. They live in that unknown place just a little bit so that they can get that aha. It's not like, oh, elbow in every day, elbow in. That's not serving you. That doesn't mean that words don't mean anything. But it's like if you arrive to elbow in, or you arrive to knees bent, chest up, through an experience, through a searching, through a seeking of I'm not who I need to be, and you understand you're not who you need to be, and you feel the things that are wrong, and you're attacking that, then you get somewhere. But then you write it down. Then you try to concrete, and when you concretize it, fine. That's fine. You could do that. But just know that the next day you might be completely different, because when you don't connect back with it, that means something's changed. Something's different. It's just how it is. And being fine with that
Dude,
is
you're creeping me out a little bit. You're giving me the thoughts. I literally just did 2 YouTube videos on both of those thoughts. The ebb and flow of the creative realm is one of the things that, and this is the probably last year where I've started to be comfortable in that, because before it did feel like a crisis mode. It's like the words, like when you're walking, and I want to hear about your creative process and I'll ask about it, but it's like when I walk and I'm in one of those oh fuck moments, it's like words, ideas, like fucking it's going, dude. And I'm just like taking out my phone every 10 minutes, typing everything in, putting it in my pocket, and it's like that shit is, it's content, it's like next level ideas. And then I'll go, and this has probably been the last 2 months. I've just finished up one of those periods that was fucking amazing and everything was clicking. And now it's like the last 1 to 2 months, it's pretty like calm, like all the ideas, like it's really not nothing's like going, it's the words aren't flowing, it's not hitting, and it's more of like that duty now. It's just like, all right, you're still going on social media, you're still working on crafting ideas, but basically you're just building up for that next when those words do come again. So like you're building on back end stuff, you're working on smaller projects. But man, that the way that you phrase that, I cannot tell you how much I relate to that process. And before, when I hadn't lived through enough of those waves, it was like, oh, the words are gone forever, I'm fucked. Like, God, that was everything I was building off of. And then they always come back like, oh, okay, we're good. But now it's like you've gone through it so many times, you're just like, okay, this is what I got to do in this moment. This is what I got to do when the words are coming and they're flowing. I'm always interested in people like you. Like, what's your creative process? I know you said you like walking on the treadmill, like that's a big part of me. Like, are you doing anything else? Are you just like, do words come into your head and you're typing out those ideas? Is it more like, are you a visual thinker? Like when you're walking on the treadmill, what is coming to you when you are on fire? Like what's that kind of process? Like, are you taking caffeine during that? Like what's kind of your journey?
Yeah, so I that is like almost something to I'll do that every single day to start the daily thing. So that really, because there's like a gray area of like creativity and that, all right, I have to, I'm trying to get out 6 pieces of content and they both help each other. So it's
Yup.
like if I'm that goal of 6 pieces of content that I'm creating, that I'm trying to develop, and I'm trying to connect with it, they both boost each other up if you know how to work it the right way. So it's like it's not super, it is a little bit creative, but I know the places where I'm drawing inspiration from. So I have a note section in my phone. So I'll go do my sets. I go on the treadmill, I do my reps and sets. I go on the treadmill, and then I have like, if you could see, I have like all these different like types of content. Like some of
Yeah.
them are bubble from yesterday. I have all these different types of content that I can post, and I go through of like, okay, what are the ones that I usually attack first? What's working right now? What are the types of content that's working? I'll go look at NBA top 10. I'll just see like what's going on here. Is there anything that's like that I'm inspired by? Anything that just catches my eye, whether it's because I remember that, oh shit, we did something that looked just like that in the gym, or it's like, oh wow, this is what players really need, or oh, I just like how this visually looks. What is something that connects with me? Boom. And then I immediately sync it together with, all right, this is how that content's going to look. This is where this is going to go. Then I'll go search on TikTok. TikTok's huge for me. I type in basketball, search 24 hours, like count, and I'll go through the best videos on TikTok in the last 24 hours. Cause that's like, yes, it gets me creatively going with that. Sometimes I'll duet those videos, but then it also something as far as a result, it's relevance because it's something that's just happening. That's huge. And I could be, oh, it just happened 10 hours ago. Steph Curry dropped 97 points. I'm going to be first to it. And it's almost like a news feed, and it's like a business strategy, but it's layered in. So it's like, these things are like messy. It's like a little messy. So it's like there's the creative part of it, but at the same time, it's the business part of it. So it's like it's overall just it's just me. I don't know what to call that, but it's just like both of those things are happening. So yeah, I'm figuring it out on that treadmill when I'm good on the treadmill. I'm figuring out what are the 6 types of content that I'm going to post today. And I get all of my videos ready. I have a new album, a new folder in my photos every single day. So I didn't do it today, which is weird. But yesterday, so I have my 020624 folder, and I have all the videos and pictures or whatever content that's going to go in all organized, so I'm ready to go. And it kind of sets me off. It gets me some momentum. So I've completed a task and there's some creative aspect of it. Then I'll go to my car, clear my head, get disconnected from it, and then connections will happen. If I'm in a great place, it's hard. It's hard for me to like do that. If I'm in a place like I am now, I need more of that. I need more time of just like what's my freaking making sure my light bulb is freaking on and I'm on fire and all of that. So that's the main thing, that I'll go to a either here or Starbucks or somewhere for 2 to 3 hours straight and just and go through this process, this ebb and flow of creating content to get me on flow, writing content, writing ideas, connecting with ideas, and I have a structure to do that with some of the types of content that I post, and just going back and forth between those, and yeah, and then filming. We'll do some filming in the gym. We'll obviously train in the gym, and that's about it. I need what I realized for myself is that it's sometimes very difficult, and I understand why coaches do this a lot. A lot of coaches I see, they get fucked up by social media because they're posting content for other coaches, but their intention is to sell a program to people that are like not coaches. So it messes their content up. But I get that, because as for me personally, so we're selling something to players, I'm talking to players. If I'm not playing, it makes it very difficult. If I'm not on the court doing things, or I'm not super connected to the people that I'm trying to serve in front of me, it's sometimes difficult to get there. But if I play, even if it's once a week, which is something I need to structure in more, I go on fire every time. No matter what state I'm in, I go on fire, because it's like, okay, perfect. I know exactly what I'm going to say. It's just like content. If I was going to make content about content, I'm like pretty good because I'm always doing it. Like I could probably always be in a decent spot. Um, yeah, so there's some things that I look for sometimes when I'm not in the best creative place, but when I'm in that top tier creative place, it's almost like, yeah, like everyone go away. I'm just gonna do my thing.
Well, you're showing up to the walk was something that Stephen Pressfield, I think it's Pressfield with the War of Art, he talks about too. It's like you have to balance that creative aspect up with the like structured aspect. So you're showing up every day for those words to appear, because I think a lot of people will like they don't set themselves up in a creative environment consistently enough. So it could have been a day where all those ideas are great, but it becomes way more random. And what I've found is when I have my structure and I'm showing up every day for that walk, every day for that spirit walk, every single day, the words come so much more often. Even if it's not a super creative state, it'll be like 3 days out of the week instead of fucking 3 days out of the month when I'm not in a creative state, you know? And I just think showing up and having that be part of your creative process, like actually setting an intention for that, is a huge part of it that a lot of people don't kind of respect. Like they don't respect it, and they don't treat that social media part almost like part of their job. And then been a big shift in the last 2 years for me as well. It's like, bro, this is part of the job. Like, show the fuck up to do what you're supposed to do. It's part of your job. You want to get people in the door. If you believe in your message and you want more people to read it, like this is part of getting that message out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think for people like us, like our intention, like at least for me, I can speak for me. My intention is very clear. Like there's nothing else that matters really. Like I only have a few things that, like, this is what I'm doing. Like this is what I'm focused on. There's nothing else that matters. I'm talking to somebody a couple weeks ago. They were like, it's fucking bullshit how you have to, like, now you have to like be big on social media to run a business. Like there's a couple of things there, like maybe not true, maybe whatever, but it's like, okay, say it is true. Okay, you'll never run a business then, and you want to run a business. Okay, go ahead. You're like, that's it. Like you'll never run a business. Like I think people really want to, they're more willing to stay connected to frustration of not getting what they want, over going into that unknown place of like, this is my fault. I don't know. Um, I'm humble. It's hard. I'm patient. Like all those things. And I get it though. I get it, because it's when you're It's right now. I feel that place, but I'm leaning into it. Some people will attach to something. They'll make an excuse. They'll go try to ground themselves. That's the last thing I want to do. I can go right now to cousin's house to uh do something to like super ground myself. And I think that's like the last thing I want to be doing right now. The only thing I should be doing is focus it, because it's tough. Sometimes it's tough because there's a confusion, there's a lack of clarity in the overall process, but the answer eventually shows up if you just keep going. You just keep going, the answer shows up. So it's like what people do though, they'll ground themselves in something. They'll try to find something to latch onto. If like this is the thing, it's not me. I don't have to worry about me. This is the thing that's telling me what to do and how to act and how to be. It's just so to calm me down. People lean into that, which is so fucked. I think people do that in basketball. They do that all the time. That was the time over reps post that I just made. People will go get up 500 reps, but like, what is that serving? You go to a place where you're grounding yourself in the reps. You want to just get up the reps, but it's like if you were doing it for time, then it's like all of a sudden you're forced to look at something different than the reps. You're forced to look at not the task you're trying to complete, but what is the purpose of the task you're trying to complete? What is it like? How do I suck right now? People don't do that. People don't do that. And I that's a big part that's missing in everything that people do. People don't look at the suck, like the suck. People suck. And if you don't look at it, then you're gonna make excuses, but then you're just gonna be frustrated too. People are willing to be frustrated. There's not enough desperation to get to where you want to go because they don't see the possibility of where they can go, which is it's crazy. But I get it. I get it though. I get it because it is freaking tough. It is tough.
I just made I just made a post on this. I saw on Facebook, and a lot of coaches talk about this. Is like they're talking about like when I was in college to get to the next level, you needed to do a 1 hour warm up, and this is how you needed to do your warm up. And this is like, bro, that is the biggest amount of copium to say you covered all your bases. That's all you're doing right there. It's to say, well, if I don't succeed, at least like you're grounding yourself in your warm up. And so many athletes do that. And the frustrating part is coaches, like they don't tell them it's bullshit. They sit there and tell them that's the right thing to do. It's like you should win the game because you touched the line. It's like no, like touching the line, the mental toughness, the like whatever you want to apply it to, the shots in the gym. It's all so you don't want to look at the actual aspect of you stink at your sport. You're not technically proficient. You don't tactically know where you're supposed to go. Maybe physically you're unable to do that and you need to go to develop the things that you suck at. What's super easy is to go into fucking warm up for an hour. What's super easy is sprinting and touching the line. But coaches refuse to tell athletes that. And not only do that, they amp these things up. It's like, oh, that's our grinder right there. And I can say this because I was that fucking grinder. Like I was that dude that was told because you did your warm-ups and because every single time we ran that sprint, you touched the line, you're going to be a great athlete. And it's like, how about you tell me I suck at pass rushing? And regardless of all this hard work, if I don't go work at pass rushing, I'm going to continue to suck at pass rushing. Like, why are you not telling me this? And it's just so frustrating. It's like we're looking not only as athletes, but as coaches, we feed this easy line of thinking. And not only do we feed the easy line of thinking, we convey it as it's actually a hard thing. It's like, no, it's not, dude. I promise you, warming up for an hour is much easier than actually looking at where you suck and going to go fix that.
Yeah. But I understand why coaches do it because it's the same reason why people in PT school need to just believe that the healthcare system is the answer to fix people. It's like you're so indoctrinated into this thing. You already attached to everything you know, and you're uncomfortable with the unknown. You're uncomfortable with saying, I don't know. This may not be right. But if that's not right, that means you don't know the answer. So, and not knowing the answer is scary. People don't look at it that way. It's always, that is the thing though. It's like, there's an answer, you don't have it. And I think,
and we want it as coaches. We want it. That's why we became coaches or PTs, because we wanted that like feeling of being able to give the answer.
I love research. I love science. I know every muscle in the freaking human body. I know every freaking nerve, where it goes. I know everything. I know everything. And I love it. I literally love it, but it doesn't serve anything. So it's like people will invest all that time, and I feel like the difference between me and a lot of other people is that the people that will make the investment that I made over the course of time, not just in PT, but in other areas, they won't let go of that. Like that doesn't serve you anymore. It's like this thing I just made that took me so long that I've been freaking connecting with this big concept map. Oh, this is everything. This is it. This is the concrete nature of this is like my brain on the freaking thing. This is my brain here. No, it's not. It's holding and realizing that shit's holding you back. It's holding you back. It's not important. And there's ways to use certain things, but it's like, yes, coaches want the answer. They want to be able to give the answer, but is that serving the person in front of you? Or is that just a short-term game that you're trying to play and trying to impress somebody in front of you? I'm not trying to impress somebody in front of me. The only thing I'm looking at is when I'm with somebody, who are they? Where are they trying to go? And what can I possibly do to get them there? And do I have an influence? And if I do, what is that influence on them? And that's a tough question. And it's people don't go there. They'll just be like, oh, let me just profile you. Or, oh, if you're not that so smart, let me just give you exactly the answer you need to get you. It's not that simple. Like the words we say, does it impact? The words impact. And if they do, how do they impact? How do you use your words? And that's tough. That's tough when you don't have an answer to that. Because at some point, I didn't have an answer. There's no answer. And then it's like, okay, then nothing I do matters. Nothing I do with somebody matters. But then if you stay there long enough, and if you've had the experiences before of being in that place of, I don't know if I have a value, or I don't know if what I'm doing is actually important. If you've been in those situations enough, which people haven't, but if you have, you know that you just keep going, there's an uptick. There's something there. And this is this is a cool feeling to have when you could see it for what it is. But like that people don't do that. They'll say, all right, this is the technique that you need. Now I'm going to tell you the technique, even though it does nothing and it hasn't worked. You telling somebody one thing is not going to make them into a great shooter, or you telling them one thing is not like, it at some point it is crazy. It's like not looking at what the truth of the situation is.
We would literally build an alternate reality. I was just presented for a gym the other day, and I was showing this picture of like what a system should do, and it was like this ray of beam into the prism into another ray of beam into real life, and the system is that middle thing, like it's like real life into your system out into real life. But what our systems kind of do in our world, it's like this ray of light into this box, and never comes back out into real life, like it just stays in this box of a system, like you said, because if it comes back out in the real life and we discover our system isn't right, holy fuck, dude. Like, did I just waste 4 years going to school for that? Did I say the wrong thing on social media and now I have to go like, and we refuse to let our ideas die, like we attach so much to that idea rather than letting that idea die and coming back to what is right in front of me, the person in front of me. And I think this is, you talked about when you're on the court too. One of the biggest things for me, it's like, I can say all the shit that I want. When I go play the sport, is what I'm saying, does it fucking matter for me in this moment when I'm playing the sport? Yes or no? Like, yes or no? Did that French contrast debate that you were in, did that fucking matter? No. Okay. Then like, why are we having it? It's not real life. It's an alternate reality that we have created. And I don't know, the level of thinking, like, I don't know if we can get there, but I think one of the big things with a lot of coaches, like, we're so removed from the actual sport. I have found that it's like, I just hear some of these arguments. I'm like, bro, what are we even talking about? Like that you step onto the field, and I promise you, not a single part of that matters. Like we're not saying real things anymore.
The words are so crazily overhyped because you're assuming in the conclusivity of the way people speak, they're assuming that the words that they're saying are the only things that exist. When it's like you're dealing with a super complex system or a really, really simple system. And the words that you say don't matter because the ideas that you have, they sound good or they sound right. But then when you do something else happens. And it's like the attention that you give somebody in that moment is the only thing that matters. The attention that you give somebody of like, who is this person? What are they doing? What are they trying to do? And paying attention. And the more barriers you put up, the more buildings you try to keep up on the ground while doing that, it can fuck you up. It can really fuck you up. It could decrease your ability to serve the person in front of you. Instead, you're serving that thing that you built.
I like that. One of the things you mentioned earlier that I really enjoyed, and this is more basketball now, was you were talking about there's a difference between elbow here and naturally finding elbow here to solve the movement problem, right? And having those aha moments versus being told to do a certain thing. When you're working with a basketball player, you're working with that person in front of you, like you're mentioning. What's kind of your process to get to those aha moments, to get to those, like trigger those aha moments for those athletes? Because that's definitely something that I have found more and more as I go through of my coaching journey. It's like my whole job right now is to find those aha moments for those athletes. Not that for them to like trigger those aha moments for them, to put them in environments to where they can have that, oh, that's what I've been trying to do. Same thing with social media where it's like you have that post and now it's like everything x like 10x is what it was before and now that's your baseline. I have found that for athletes as well. It's like you can get them to a point where they have that, oh, like what the fuck, bro? Why have I not done that? But you need to go through the process to get there. So like what's kind of your process of building out those environments for your athletes to have those moments?
Yeah, I think that it depends on, I think something that people don't talk about a lot is the relationship aspect. So it's like for me to have an impact on somebody, there's a relationship in between us. And something that was difficult for me because so even during PT school when I was playing for 5 years straight, I would coach 5 years straight, just coach, and I would do training as well, but only the players that I was coaching. And but with Bobby, I'm training 15 hours, 20 hours a week, a bunch of different people for like every day, like all the time. And with a bunch of different skill levels, a bunch of different players. But the thing with training players that I coach is that there's already a context, there's already a relationship developed, and sometimes there's not a relationship developed. And to get them to those, whatever I'm trying to do with them, it first starts with building that ground up, building that relationship. Because if that person in front of you doesn't trust or respect what you're telling them, it doesn't matter. Or trust or respect the things that they're putting them through, it doesn't matter. But from that point on, I think that I can say words if I say them in a way that means something to them. I could do tasks, have them do something that they have a focus in the world, or I could set up environments and situations to get those moments. But I think those aha moments don't have to be in a place of like oh, light bulb went off and it's a calm situation. Those aha moments can be like, oh shit, like I wasn't going as hard as I should have, because sometimes you got to freaking push. Oh, I wasn't going to the edge of my ability like I should have, and that accountability aspect. So I think it really depends on who it is. There's players that respond, and sometimes this is difficult with groups, but there's some players that respond to competition. Like they want that competitive aspect. They don't want a freaking drill that's going to be weird, even though it's effective for a lot of other people. It's going to be weird and give them a new perspective. They want to compete. So how can I put them in a competitive situation where there's a light bulb going off? At the end of the day, if I see in their face that there is a attention that gets raised, a focus that gets raised, we're in a good place. When there's no focus and no attention, and that can happen at any level, and sometimes it's hard to see it, but if there's no focus and attention and like an owning of what you're doing, like if they're not owning it, that is a problem. If they're completely owning what they're doing, that's the place I want to get them to, because it's not about me. It's about what experiences are they having. So if I see that they're owning it, they're potentially creating something new, regardless of what they're doing. They have a fire that they're trying to compete without me, without looking at me. Some players compete, but it's not competition. They're seeing if I'm watching them try. It really comes down to the person in front and what do they respond best to. Because some people, I could tell them things, words. If it's the right moment, the right time, words can be used. I could give you words. I can tell you, maybe it's not a super technical thing, but I could tell you like cues, or I could tell you phrases, or I could give you a different perspective, or I could bring something up from the past and it connects with that person and they're like, oh shit, that's fucking true. oh shit, and there's a reaction in the body. There's a reaction that happens. But sometimes for people, it's freaking doing a 180 shot, and you keep doing it for 10, 15 minutes, and it's like you're learning something because it's such a new experience that you're learning something about you can break yourself free of the frameworks that you currently have because it's a new thing. It really depends on the person in front. But yeah, if I want to make an impact, regardless of that, if I think a lot of people, they're just there on the road. They're just there on the road. They're there on the journey of the player. But I think if you want to make an impact right now, how I see it, if you want to make an impact actually on somebody, it takes setting them up to get that feeling of like owning it, of like they're attentive to this and their love for what they're doing in that moment, their focus for what they're doing in that moment is at a different level. And it almost makes me think that if I'm gonna be with somebody and I'm gonna have that happen, it's almost like I'm starting to think like a one-on-one relationship is like the best thing for me, because it takes a deep level of knowing somebody. It takes a deep level of seeing like this is what this person, like there's a lot of people, there's a lot of things going on. Yes, I could just yell and we can be going fast and we can get a lot of reps and all that, but it's like, how am I gonna get this person to play better in the game? You know, like how is that gonna happen? Which is I think it's taken for granted. That's not the easiest thing to do. It's not.
One of the things that I really enjoyed that you were talking about, and I kind of applied this to kind of what we do, it can be words, it can be environments, it can be a drill, like, but what you guys do a great job of is you are giving them data points and you are getting data points from them and you're working on that relationship through there. And a thing that I see a lot of coaches struggle with is they are not changing up the data points that are being given. It is like, let's say traditional strength conditioning world, it's like bench squat deadlift, it's we're going to sprint a flying 10 and we're going to do a jump mat, and that's all the data points we do. So the athletes that triggers with and that can have that emotional reaction with, those aha moments, those 3 drills can trigger, like it's going to work with those athletes, but you're never giving them anything more. And I've seen what you're talking about, to where I have put them in a different environment and I say a certain word, and in that environment it triggers. I've put them in an environment where you're talking about that 180 jump or the 180 shot, and it triggers. And just because it triggered for that athlete doesn't mean it's going to trigger for another athlete. But I really believe there's value in providing those data points to the athletes for them to play around with, and for it to meet them where they are at. And some drills are going to be just not going to do it for some athletes, but for others, that could be their absolute moment that changes their athletic potential, their athletic career. And I think not approaching it in that, like, we approach it in such a linear way in strength conditioning that we never give our athletes a chance for that non-linear exponential growth factor. Or we only give them the that factor for the couple drills that we run. And I really believe that's one of the beautiful powers of play, is that it can have that psychedelic like effect on the athletes, to where, oh, that was that drill that worked for me, or oh, that was that drill that worked for me. And I think a lot of coaches confuse a drill working with it just worked with that certain amount of athletes. And I really believe there is a drill that works for every athlete. There's a word that works for every athlete. There's an environment that works for every athlete. And if you're finding that only 10% of the athletes it's working with, it's probably because we're running the same drills over and over again, and it's working with the same type of athlete over and over again. And I think if you approach it more in that playful manner of, and I'm saying play in like you're playing with words, you're playing with environments, you're playing with drills, I think you can reach athletes where they're at much more effectively than sitting in the system that you've created of the big 3 lifts, the big metrics that we kind of do.
Yeah, getting them to have something like a this is different. This is new. Shooting with a 10-pound heavy ball. You get look on their face the first time. What is this? And people call it whatever they want. They'll call it differential learning. They'll call it whatever they want to categorize things as. But at the end of the day, it's just getting them into that unknown place. You get them into that unknown place because that's where things happen. And the second, like you're saying, the second you take everything, you say, I know this works. This system works. I'm going to do these dribbles. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to do it I'm going to do this strength work and this works. It's like, that's not what the best players do. It's like, well, what are we looking for? What are we looking for as far as like, I want them, they want to be good in the game, right? Like they want to be good in the game. So it's like, how am I focusing on getting them good in the game, not good in training, which is like, seems like so obvious and so stupid, but it's like, no, how do I get them good in the game? Like that is, I'm so focused on that. And the only way to do that is if you see the person, like I want to give it a clear answer. And the problem with my answer right now is that part of my big framework is all of this shit that it's like, it's breaking down right now. It's like crumbling to the ground because I don't want it anymore. I don't want that because like the most important thing is like, can I be present in this moment with the person in front of me of like, what does this person want? Who does this person need to be? How am I going to help them get there? And actually, how am I going to help them get there? Like, what does that mean? Like, I'm so focused. I'm so focused on that. And I think a lot of people aren't. They're focused on a framework. I'm not focused on a framework. There's a lot of things that go in my head. Something that I suggested to a player yesterday that I'm testing out. This is a new idea, a new thing. Almost like trying to introduce to them, because I think the awareness aspect of things is huge. And I think players that are extremely aware are able to enter that unknown place. Players that are extremely aware can see, oh shit, I'm afraid to go into this, but I'm going to go into it anyway because it's good for me. It's what I want. And I think introducing that unknown place to them is massive. And I think the way my training, the way I train is structured can be so much better because I think everything is built on that premise of getting into the unknown place. So what I told the player yesterday is I want you to go shoot on the side of the backboard for 15 minutes straight, regardless of how bored you are. Then I want you to set a timer for an hour, go to the top of the key and just shoot a three, go walk to go get your rebound, and then go walk back up to the three and shoot. And the amount of boredom that event at first will happen, and then fear that will happen because there's nothing else to focus on besides the things you suck at, the things that feel terrible, because there's nothing else happening. There's nothing else for your attention to latch onto. So it becomes first of all, it's better. It's actually better than that. Talking to two players yesterday, one kid goes to Blair, it's a really good school to get recruited. Another kid is like, he's a junior, he's a decent player. And the kid from Blair is telling me about all these other kids on his team. Like he gets a lot of minutes, he's a big part of the team, but he has other players going to Bucknell, players going to other like mid to high Division I schools. And he's putting them in this category that's just like he made up in his brain. I'm trying to explain it to him. Of like there's no ratings. It's not 2K. This is not like there's no ratings. It's like what makes somebody good? They're doing things that you're not doing. That's it. They've done things that you haven't done. But today's a new day. And it's like, but like the words, did it actually hit him? No. How do you get it to hit? You get it to hit by them having the experience. How do you get them to have the experience? The reason they don't have the experience, it would happen automatically if you didn't avoid shit. If you didn't avoid shit, the things that you need to happen would happen. You have an intention set, and all you have to do is go there. The only reason why you don't go there is because you're avoiding things that are in the way. You avoid, oof, no, that's too scary. Going back to where I was. So it's like, all right, I have to put people in a place where they can feel that. And so I said, go to the side of the backboard, shoot for 15 minutes, have the ball go right back to you. It's like a very calm focus. That's the idea of it. It's a calm focus. It comes right back to you. You get bored, and then you go just shoot at the top of the key. And you just keep shooting threes at the top of the key for an hour straight. And yeah, at first you're going to be bored of this. Like, this is boring. I usually do all these other things. And then you're going to go to a place of like, holy shit, this is different. There's nothing for my focus and my attention to latch onto, because usually I'm getting up reps. Usually I'm like increasing it, making it harder, making it like thinking about the progression, thinking about the task. No, there's no task. I don't care if you make 1,000 in a row, you're going to do this for an hour. You might make no shots. You might make 1,000 shots. There's no end. So, and then what ends up happening is by doing that, because I've done it myself and I'm testing on myself, is like you go to a place of okay, if there's nothing for me to focus on externally, then there's only something for me to focus on internally. And then you start focusing on internal, and then you start saying, what is wrong with my shot? You start there. What is wrong with it physically? What is wrong with it this? And then you go to a place where it's like, okay, there's more than that. How am I holding myself back? How am I developing? Like, how am I shooting? Why am I shooting? And then your brain at some point just starts to click everything together if you keep going. But there's so many points in that where it's like, it's always a little bit hard to stay, but there's so many points where the want to just go walk away goes, and it doesn't last so long. It lasts 3 seconds, 4 seconds, but those are critical moments of like, I'm done. I'm gonna go walk away. It feels like in your brain you're done. You don't. You succumb to the timer. You are a slave to the timer in these moments. You are a slave to the timer. You do not walk away. You keep going. You get over that, and then it's like you have an experience. It happens again. You get over that because the timer is your boss. You have an experience, because players, what they never do is they never do that. They never have time where they're focusing on internally what is happening internally. The words people say to them of how their mechanic should be is not focusing internally. That's not focusing internally. They never have time of like, how am I feeling? How am I shooting? And then you go to a place in my brain where it's like, I'm imagining myself in a game. Okay, would I shoot this in a game? And there's a feeling of, how much am I shooting for the task? How much am I shooting for the process of trying to complete the task? So the shot is right there, and it's like you get a feeling of, okay, this is what shooting is. This is what shooting feels like, and this is what trying to force the ball to go in looks like. And then you get there, and by shooting, it's not the only part of the game, but with doing that practice, there's something that clicks after some point if you get good at it. For me, at least. Right. So I think that something like that is huge for players to do, is to get time where it's not about a task. It's about what does it mean to them? It's almost like it's the creative process. That's what it is. What does it mean to you? People don't do that. They want something that they can complete so they could check a box, not so that it's not a tool to get somewhere. It's for checking boxes. It's a quick hit dopamine thing.
And one of the things you talked about is like your job is like to bring them into that unknown, because a lot of athletes, like you said, they get there and it's like, fuck it, I'm out. Like as soon as you feel that, you're like, I'm out. You feel those 3 seconds of boredom during that shot, you're like, I'm out, I'm done. And that is one of the biggest things I've realized. Like, what's the importance? Again, you talk about looking at yourself as a coach. Like, what can you do for this athlete? Like, what can you provide for that athlete? And one of the biggest things that I've noticed too, it's like just giving them that environment to enter that unknown, to enter, like, to be allowed to even fail too, because that's a big part of it too. Is like, I can't even put it all on the athletes, because part of it's like, you look at the college sector specifically of like football or basketball or whatever, you go into a practice and you fail enough, you're just going to get benched. Like you're done. Like coach is done. And so then the athlete's like, well, I know what happens if I fail. I don't play. And this is during practice. If I fail during practice, I don't play. I'm never going to put myself in an environment to fail, because then I'm not going to play. Like, fuck it. And the good athletes, and this is what I've noticed too, it's like the good athletes are just so good. They're so above the red level that they can fuck around, they can fail, they can get that exponential growth factor, and then just come back to their baseline, which is just good enough to be able to go through. But you have these bad athletes in quotation, they could be a solid athlete, whatever it is, but they're unwilling to put their nuts on the line because they know the consequences of doing that. If they fail, if it doesn't work out, if it works out, great. If it doesn't work out, I don't play anymore, and you have to take that away. And one of the things I've realized is like, in the private sector, you can provide them. Obviously, ideally, we switch that into like, okay, we're practicing that, we're going to practice better. We're going to do that in the college sector. But the private sector, you can provide them an environment to explore failure and then talk to them about it and be like, dude, you fucked up here. I'm not going to bench you, bro. Like whatever. Or maybe they need the pressure on the other side too. You can definitely work on both sides of things. But I think just providing them an environment, and then you should see these athletes, how much more free they get when they fail and they're not getting benched because of it. And now they're putting their nuts on the line way more often and creating things way more often. And now they're going to practice and they've worked on the things that otherwise they wouldn't have got to. And now they don't have that risk of getting benched because of that. So I feel like in the private sector, one of the things, the beautiful things we can do is just create that environment that allows them to enter the unknown, as you said, or fail and put their nuts on the line where they're not going to give this massive consequence. And going back to putting your nuts on the line when there is massive consequence, there's something to train there too as well. But I think a lot of athletes, they don't even get to that point where it matters. I think they're always so stuck at this, like, this six of an athlete, like 6 out of 10 out of an athlete, because they know it's just good enough and it's going to get me through. And it never gets them to that breakthrough moment of being who they could actually be.
Yeah. I think the people that are able to handle those big moments, those big pressures, the coach taking them out, they're actually not handling those moments. It doesn't register with them. They're playing a different game. I think the really good athletes are playing a different game. They're playing a internal game. That's their system of reward. Do I feel how I want to feel? And if so, then I'm good. And whatever facade they put out in front, but they're playing a different game. Like because I know I'm on both sides, because maybe in high school, my senior year a little bit, but in college, I was that person where it's like I got my 10 to 15 minutes a game on a really good Division II team under a really good coach, and we won 102 games when my 4 years there, and a really good situation. But it's like, shit, if I played how I could play like 2 years ago when I was like training and I was playing and I was like on the court a lot, like I'm a different human being. Because I know in my brain how different I am. I feel like 2 years ago, at least when I was training, I was playing, I was like, I could play with NBA players. I could play with whoever I want in the world. That part of it didn't exist. That part of it didn't exist because now I'm playing a different game. I'm a different person. Right. So it takes them to understand that everything is so result focused. Everything is commerce. Everything is business. They're trying to achieve something in that moment. They're outcome oriented, but you're going to lose every time. You're going to lose every time because you don't have a breakthrough. It's like, great, you're upgrading a shitty system. Like, what are you going to do? Like, okay, cool. You added 2 points. Like you getting a third grader to be the best third grader on their team. Okay, cool. You still suck. You're still like a little kid. How do you become one of the best players or the best person you could possibly be? Takes a breakthrough. And the thing about breakthroughs that people are not okay with is that it's an unknown place. So when it happens, you don't know. It's way easier to strength, like getting stronger. It's at some level, it's like this. You go like that. All right, you lift, you stop, you lift again, and you go like that. Breakthrough is not like that. A breakthrough is weird because it takes patience, and it takes seeking it, and it takes knowing. You don't even have to know it's possible. You just have to be committed to doing your best to get there. Possible or not possible is like whatever. But as long as you're committed 100%, whatever your reason for being committed is to reaching a certain level, then inevitably you will face those things where that's where the breakthroughs happen. But when those happen, it's not up to you. It's not up to you, which sucks. People want certainty. People want answers, but that's not how the best players in the world operate. They don't. Steph Curry doing the freaking Steph Curry shooting masterclass. It's like, shut the fuck up, bro. Shut up. Like, he's telling, like, that's not how you got there. And of course, like, everyone's different, of course, but it's like, dude, that's how coaches coach, though. Coaches coach like Steph Curry's masterclass. I don't know. They do. It's like ridiculous. It's like, that's not what you thought. That's not what your brain was like. You didn't get better that way. People don't want that, though. They want an easy way to communicate to somebody. Commerce. They want commerce. They want an easy thing that they could get a result off of on social media, an easy thing that people can understand. But what do? You have no left hand? Go do this drill. That works because it's getting them taken out. It's a different framework. They're operating under different frameworks. They're in an ego place. I'm not in an ego place. I'm willing to look like whatever people want to say on social media, because I know the ultimate goal is, if I want the video to go viral, I have to get them to take action, because it's valuable if they take action. How do I get them to take action? There's an entertainment piece. There's a structure of the video, how being empathetic to them on their feed. What are they looking for? What's different? What's not different? What's contrasting? What do I feel good about? From a creative aspect, because ultimately that will lead to them. What people do first is they think about what other people think will look good. It's like people that get a really nice camera and they're like, oh, this is going to make my videos go. It's like, no, you think that they'll go because you think people like that. No, I think of shit that's cool for what I think. And then when those resonate, good breakthrough. You don't know when it's going to happen. When I did the I post good drills, follow me, it was Bobby saying, all right, dude, I want to try saying, I post good drills. And then I want to try saying, follow for good drills. And then I just like, we were one day done with the gym. We were done. And I'm like, fuck, wait, let me just get one more. If you have no left hand and you start doing this, got to get 5 in a row. And I was just like in a playful mood. Finish, your left hand won't be weak anymore. I post good, like in the way I said it, and then that post alone on TikTok got me like 130,000 followers. And on Instagram, it probably got me more. And then the times that was replicated was ridiculous. Like, but people don't want that. People don't want that. But we talk about that before things like that happen. Before that happened, actually, I was telling Bobby like that whole week, dude, I smell it. I smell it. I feel like something's going to happen. I feel like something's going to happen. I feel like something's going to happen. But like it just happened to be right there. But we know that breakthroughs happen. Breakthroughs happen. We talk about it all the time. Players, like we don't look for this in somebody's vert. It's like sometimes like nothing. Spike. You're like, this is not no result right here. This is something's building. You're doing something. There's something happening. If you're working, there's something. Breakthrough. We find something, right? It was something weird. We did a freaking like people like plyometrics and strength training. This, it's like that's not like stop trying to cover all your bases because you have so much more bases than you think. There's so much more. Like people think like, oh, these are the 3 adaptations you need to jump higher. No. There's infinite. There's infinite amount of things that you could possibly need to jump. You don't know by theorizing. You only know by doing and testing and learning. People don't want that though. That's uncertainty. People want strength train, do your depth jumps, and go practice this thing. Dude, we do the weirdest shit. We do the weirdest shit sometimes. And I think it works. I know it works. We do weird shit. Dude, things that I've done in the gym. Oh my God, dude. I do the weirdest shit. I'll have them go like freaking. Oh my God, dude! I had them do a triple. Essentially, it turns into a standing triple jump. They're sprinting full speed from like the volleyball line on the other side, and then they do a standing triple jump to a finish. Like it's like borderline, like way too dangerous to be doing. And it's like, dude, I'll just do weird shit. That's where my brain goes.
Bro, this is fucking money. This this podcast is gonna be a top 5 podcast of all time. The level of thinking that you have and your Bobby White impersonation, fucking key. You're good at that. You spend a lot of time with him, I can tell, with the when you do his voice, fucking hilarious. But the level of thinking, like the leaving the linear game, I cannot tell you how many times I've tried and I'm continually trying to shift and continually put that message out there because it is so like we are so I mean Thinking Fast and Slow is probably the best like book put together of it, of like we want to see things in this simplistic type 1 like linear process way, and when you start to do that you trick yourself and you're like giving yourself a cookie from going to a 6 to a 7 when you should have went from a 6 to 600, but you never leave the game of the linear process and you trap yourself in it. So this, I hope people receive the message the way that I received this message. I know we went 117, so I'll let you go here, but I want to thank you for being on. This was fucking awesome. I got this fucking whole page of psychedelic type notes over here on the leaving the linear type process. This was awesome. Thank you for being on.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys for listening. Keep chopping the wood.
Thank you for listening. Join us next week as we dive down another rabbit hole. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a 5-star rating. Follow us on Instagram at Austin Yoakum to stay updated on future podcast guests. Keep chopping wood.